are topics. Oh my, okay. Content pillars are topics, themes that guide whatsoever it is that we're going to be actually doing with the content calendar in itself. So if you're able to have your content pillar set, you can create your content calendar at any time effortlessly. You can wake up in the morning and have something to fill in, because content calendars are like filling in the empty spaces. But if you have this content pillar set, you can easily do that. So let me share with us my screen. I can't share the work that I actually do, but I'm going to be sharing one of a side gig, something that I do for a brand on the side. Okay, so this is what it looks like. And I want to just share with us what a content calendar looks like in case we don't know or we've never seen. This is a very simple, not too much straightforward content calendar. And the tool here is Google Sheets. So that's one of the tools that we can use. There are other tools that you can use to create your content calendar. Maybe I will give us some other examples, but what I use is Google Sheets. It's easy to use. So yeah, so this is what makes up the content calendar. We have, so can we all see my screen? Please drop a reaction.
Yes, we can.
Okay, thank you. I'd like to hear from Chidima and Gucci. React.
Yes, I can.
Okay,
Okay.
awesome. Awesome. So this is what a simple content calendar looks like. We
Yes,
have, okay, thank you,
yes, I
Gucci.
can. Yeah, I can see.
Thank you. It has the week, it has the days, the content model, which I'll be going into, the format, then the copy for the design or video or whatever kind of content that whatever content format that you're trying to make, the copy or the text that goes into the format, and then the caption. And then these are the basic parts of the content calendar. And then this is for me, posted, not posted, here, posted or pending. And then you can decide to add notes or whatever else that you want to add. You can customize your content calendar to be whichever way that you want for it to be. But for me, these are the basic, simple things. There are other content calendars that I have created that contains much more than this. Some that contains fewer information than this. So it depends on what the brand that you're working with or for. So can I move forward from the content pillars? Or okay, let me still get into that. So for example, let's say that Chidima has a gig and she's working for a what example do I use now? A fitness brand, for example. And you need to create the content pillar. Now, in this particular sheet, there's no content pillar. I usually have that away from the sheets, right? In this sheet, there's no content pillar. But the first thing that you will do would be to know, okay, this is what I want my content pillars to be. Let's say if it's for a fitness brand, you can have workouts, you can have tips to work out, you can have recipes, you can have, depends on what the brand is about, right? You can break those things down so that you know that, okay, you can even channel your pillars in such a way that on Mondays, this is what we talk about, on Tuesdays, this is what we talk about, on Wednesdays, and so on, right? So once you have those, you can have like 5 or 6. We don't want to make them too much. 5 or 6 content pillars, or even 4 or 3, and then you circle your content around those 3 pillars. And then moving forward, then we have the content model. So I was asking, can I move forward? Can I move away from the content pillars? Is that understood? You can just drop a reaction. Okay. Awesome. Next is the content model. Now, this content model is the structure or the format. And there are different types of content models that different brands or social media managers use to structure their posts. And usually, one of the types of content models that I prefer and I like to use is the three E's. That is educate, entertain, and engagement. But like I said, we can customize our models and our pillars whichever way that we want. And that's what I did here. So here I created an additional model, but this is the three E's. It includes engagement, education, entertainment, an additional benefit, give benefit or value. What that means is that when we say a post is an engagement post, it's a post that we know what it means for something to be engaging. It's a post that gets reactions out of people, right? For example, here we're saying happy December, we wish you. So what we expect in this post is we're not necessarily giving value, we're not entertaining, we're not educating. So what we expect out of this particular content here is people should say, oh, happy new year back to the brand or whatsoever, right? It's an engaging post. Or we can ask a question then in the caption that says, happy new year to you, what are you expecting, or sorry, happy December to you, what are you expecting out of the new month, something like that. If it asks a question, if it's something that can get a reaction from people, that's an engaging post. Then education gives it teaches. So when we see posts that gives us tips, usually carousels fall under educational posts because they teach you something. So when we see posts that gives you value too, right? That's an educational post. I'm sorry that I'm all over the place. But yeah, that's an educational post. And then entertainment is for fun. People see, they laugh, they think about what you've posted. If it's there to, make them laugh or giggle or make them think, oh, this is office relatable, that too could be an entertaining post. And then for this particular brand, I added benefit or value because the brand is in its introductory phase. So the reason I added this fourth model is because we would like to share from time to time what the brand does for our customers or for our audience. And so that's why I added it. So whatever post that tells the audience what the brand does or what they can get out of the brand is a post that tells them of or that gives them benefit or value of the brand. That's why I added it. So that's it for the content models. And like I said, there are other forms of content models. There are the 3 E's. There's the 80-20 rule, is a content model as well. There's another one. There's the Dragon content model created by Dot Long. I don't know if any of us here know her. She's a social media strategist and you can look her up on Instagram. Her model, she created the model mostly for influencers. So I won't really go into that. But there are a bunch of other models. And I'd like to say that whatever it is that we're hearing from this course is only a guide, right, from me, because I cannot go in depth, really. So whatever it is that we hear, I hope that we have our notes or that we're jotting things down. We can go back and do a proper research on them. Like I've mentioned content pillars, I've mentioned content models. We can go back, do a proper research on them, dive deep into it, and see how you can then use it in your work or your personal brand or your business. So let me just give us an example for the content model, right? For example, if let's say, for example, Ugochi is working for a fashion brand, for example, she can use the 3 E's now, which is engagement, education, entertainment. Let's say an educational post would be style tips, right? How to, when you see all these fashion brands that come tell you how to style, how to wear how to blah, 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 all of those, they are educational posts. Entertaining could be behind the scenes, showing how you do what you do. For example, because I'm using a fashion brand. You see someone like the very popular Vicky James. She she has content models. She has, if you even look at her posts, you will see the different kinds of posts that she makes. You see that she has content models, even though, yeah, it looks as if she does any and everything, but you would actually see the groupings of her content. So she does funny things. She showcases she even does educational things. So these are ways to group your content. And we have not even yet started into the main content calendar. But if you're able to have these things as a guide, you can already see that your content calendar is already done. Then, so can I move on away from the content models? A reaction, please, so I know that we're here. Okay, thank you. Okay, awesome. So what we have next on this content calendar, this simple content calendar, is the format. Now, this also could be the content type. It's also called types. And yeah, as you can see here, let me show you the drop down. So for these brands, we have single graphics, also known as static posts, also known as posters, whatever way we call them in the formal ad, it's called posters. Single graphics, yes, there are videos, could be reels, whatever. Then we have the carousel. And under this content format, this particular calendar, like I said, is limited. This is as basic as it can be, a basic content calendar. So there could be more, you could break this down into more formats, right? We could have polls, we could have infographics if we want to go more in depth into the kind of format. But for the purpose of this brand, three things are needed: single graphics, carousels, and videos, right? But depending on the brand that you're working with, you can break down the content types into a bunch of other types. There are other types. For example, in this content calendar, there's no room for stories, right? We don't see that because, yeah. But that's just to say it's basic, it's simple. So for you as a social media manager, you can make room to add stories to, you can make room to add content for the stories that you post, right? And other content types. So I don't know if there's any confusion so far before I continue. Okay, then up next is the copy. And here, what I would say is, because the copy can vary based on the brand again. And I know that Mr. Dugo has probably mentioned to us something about us having research skills, because that's the most important thing, in fact, that's the most important skill that a social media manager would need to have. So if you're able to research, there's no limit to what you can achieve as a social media manager. And for the purpose of this particular course, creating a content calendar, we're not going to be going into how to actually write the copy. I don't think. So this breakdown so far, if you're able to get the things I've said so far about creating your content pillars, creating your model, then knowing the format, those are the things that you need to set your content calendar and get those going. And then you can now decide, say, let's say, let me go back to the example, the fashion brand example. Let's say that you have style tips or behind the scenes or products, something like that, as your content pillar. And then we decided that, okay, every Monday, we're going to be sharing an educational post. That's for the model. So you know now that every Monday, it mustn't be that way, or it mustn't work like that. But it helps you to guide you. It helps to make your content calendar easy. So every Monday, you know that you're sharing a style tip. And say on Tuesdays, you can share a fashion post. There are even rooms for resharing other people's content. There are rooms to share user generated still in the content calendar. You can add those to either the format or the formats. You can, like here, you can include user generated content. For example, if it's a fashion brand, just an example. So you know that every Tuesday you're sharing something that a user has a content that a user has created, or every Tuesday, if it's for a business, you know that every Tuesday, for example, you're sharing testimonials. That too can be a content pillar. So the first thing, depending on the brand, you this call is about to end actually. So I don't know, Mr. Dugo, should I generate another link or should we now move on to WhatsApp? Okay.
So I'll just drop a link on the group that we can use to join in once the call ends. Yeah.
Okay. Thank you. Thank you, Ma. Okay, so as I was saying, I just don't want to be cut short by Zoom. Okay. So as I was saying, you can, based on the kind of brand, right? You can decide this my or can you give me an example of a brand, for example, so that I can help us to break it down, give us more details and formats, and then just to make it more, just to break it down and bring it home for those of us on the call. Did you get me?
Yes, I did. So I think she's asking us to share any brand that we think of so that comes to our mind so that she can break down that brand for us. Am I correct?
Working with or something that you're currently working on to make it easy since you're on this call. Ugochi.
I'm not working on any brand
Okay.
or with any brand presently.
Okay, but with the things I've
I
said
don't
so
have
far,
any brand
something must have
presently.
crossed your mind, or maybe okay, interesting. But I'm just saying, do you have any just give me an example of a field that that you're looking to work with that you'd like to have more insight on. Just see it as a plus for you since you're on this call. So I can break that down for you to make it easy in case you get your next job.
Okay. I heard you mention Vicky James. I heard you mention Vicky James. Well,
Okay.
Yes, I think, okay, what of Apoko Doctor? His band. Do you know him?
Oh, yes, I do. Okay. Hmm. Okay, I do know Aproko Doctor. What I was looking to get from you is Aproko Doctor shares educational content around health. If
Yes,
I'm right, he shares health tips.
yes,
Okay. Okay. Is that something, is that a kind of brand that you like to work on?
yes,
Okay, so let's be specific. Would you like to work with a healthcare brand, or would you like to work as an advisor on health, how they say it, an advisor on health topics? Is it something like that? Because our Doctor on his own, he's a brand on his own.
yes. Working with a healthcare brand.
Okay, you like to work with a healthcare brand. Awesome. Let's use
Yeah.
the three C's. Let's use the three E's, sorry. The model. That's engagement, entertainment, educational. And we can have content pillars around healthcare tips. If it's a brand that has a product, we can have the product in itself. Let's say the brand is um mm, I'm thinking of a brand now. Okay, health. Let's use a pad. Let's say moped, right? Is that health? Is that
Yes,
health enough for you? Okay,
yes,
awesome.
it is.
So let's say moped. Okay, let's say moped, the ladies sanitary pad. We have three, we're using the three E's as our content model. That's engagement, educational, entertainment. And then our formats would include the the static posts, the carousel, the videos, user-generated content, those four things. So now if we're able to have this, and let's say we're posting for them every day from Monday to Saturday, let's say, except on Sundays. Now we can say our content pillars would be um, tips, tips on how to use the pad, um, uh, tips on how to use the pad, and then tips for the user. So, how would I put that now? Let's say product tips and user tips, and um, we can also have girly tips. So we're using a lot of tips because this is health, right? So tips does not mean that it's all educational. Or we can say fun stuff or girly. We just group those things. Let's use these three that we have so far. We've said user tips, product tips, and then fun, random stuff, fun. That's just an example. So with those three content pillars, and then these three content models, we can then begin to create our copy or our content and captions. So let's say for Monday, we want to post an educational content. And our format could be anything. It could be a carousel, educational, preferably, usually a carousel or a video works best for an educational content. So we can now share if our tips are Monday, our pillar for Monday is user tips. We can now share something around how to fix the part. This is a basic example, because now you even find that people no longer create content around the post, around the product per se, But that's like a topic for another day. That's another topic. So as I was saying, the model is educational, the pillar is productive. You can share how to place the wing or how to properly fix the pad on your pants or something like that. That's a post. And then what to do then would be to write the content, but that's not what we're going into in this particular session. You write the content, the steps, the how-tos. If it's a video, you then direct to say, okay, this is how it's going to be shot, because that's actually the role of a content writer, not the social media manager. But unfortunately, with the environment that we have found ourselves, usually a social media manager is expected to come up with the content, write the content, direct the content, and then also post the content, which is not how it's supposed to be actually. But in a situation where you're the one who is writing the content too, you would now write the step-by-step on how that video would appear. If it's a video, or if it's a carousel, you write the content as well, and then provide caption for it and hashtags too. And yes, whoever it is then that does the graphics or that does the video will go ahead to follow your direction to create those. And that's it for a day for one content. Another content we can have, we could do the fun stuff, which could be a simple girls chatting or playing around while down that period, just to show that you can live your life as normal if you're putting on a pad. Or you can have a content pillar around sexual conversations, around not sexual conversations. So but yes, conversations about girls preserving their sexuality. I don't know. But that's just an example, right? So we can have healthcare experts come in and have conversations on how, yes, things like that, exactly. Something like sexual conversations, like what it was like when you first had your period, how you handle period cramps, menstrual cramps. So you can dive, once you have those pillars, there is now the copy and the content becomes an easy walk. It becomes a walk in the park. So yeah, that's it for your example, Chidima. I don't know if I was able to break that down for you.
Yes, Syria, thank you.
Okay. Ugochi, do you have an example of a brand I can break down?
I don't really have any example. The health, the one you just mentioned now is okay. The one you just explained is okay for me.
Okay, awesome. Okay, so far, I think I'll take questions. I'll take questions now. So our 40 minutes actually can be enough. I'll take questions now. If we have any questions.
Okay, so you don't need us to join on the other link.